How do you get the power back in your relationship with a 5 sensory when they're teasing you as a 6 sensory? This is an interesting question because teasing isn't the same as overt abuse. It's not the same as overt bad behavior. It's what I call subtle bad behavior. So when people behave in subtle bad ways, you need to pay attention and handle it correctly. You don't want to ignore the subtle bad behavior. You don't want to be threatened by it. You just want to respond in the right dosage. You want to respond in kind to teasing bad behavior. And you can even make it into a little bit of a joke and a little bit of fun. One of our flaws as 6 sensories is sometimes we take ourselves way too seriously. And when a 5 sensory teases us, they just want to know that we have a sense of humor and that we can laugh, that we're not always so serious. And so this is the way to respond to some remarks from a 5 sensory who's teasing you. Let's say, for example, they're teasing you in regards to if you're dating, they don't want a relationship, but it's not a serious conversation. They're just saying it as a joke in front of you. Or if you're in a relationship, they're saying the relationship is so hard, or that you're in a long-term marriage, they're saying that the long-term marriage is hard. This is how you handle this kind of teasing. So if you're dating and they're teasing, saying that they don't want a relationship, say, I know, why have a relationship when we're having so much fun right now? You can kind of say it with that kind of tonality, and that's a way to kind of give them a dig back if they're teasing you about a relationship and not wanting to get into one. If it's that you've had a long-term relationship and they're telling their friends, oh, it's been such a long time and it's really hard to keep a relationship going, you can say something like, I know, honey, it's really hard being in a long-term relationship with you. And you can say the same thing with the marriage situation. And that lets them know that you're onto them and you can tease them right back when they take that opportunity to tease you as a 6 sensory. Now, there are a few more examples of this. Let's say, for example, they know that you have an attractive sister and they're saying, hey, I think your sister is really beautiful. You just say, I know, we're family, right? That's all you need to say, is say it back to them very matter-of-factly, but in a very silly way, to let them know that, of course, it makes sense that you might think that way. Or if they're attracted to the waitress and they're flirting in front of your face, or there's another beautiful woman in the restaurant they start talking to, in that situation, what you want to do is be very bored with this conversation. You want to pull out your phone, and it's so funny. It's like you're not supposed to look at your phone when you're having dinner with people, but when you're not appreciating the way that they're behaving, that can sometimes be the perfect time to pull out your phone and start surfing and ignoring them. The important thing is to show the other person that you're not really persuaded or bothered by their behavior in any way when they're belligerent. And you might think that this is like no response, but it's actually the perfect response because you're sucking the energy out of their show and you're showing them that you don't care about whatever commentary that they're making in the moment. And when they're bored and realizing that this strategy doesn't work on you, they're not going to do it again. That's really the way to shut it down. If you kind of argue with them, or if you try to flirt with another person in front of them, that doesn't usually end well. And so you want to instead just suck the energy out by acting bored. I know retaliation can be kind of tempting, and if it's like banter and jokes, you can retaliate because it was initially a joke in the first place and you're just joking back with them. But if they're doing something a little bit more nasty, like flirting with somebody else in front of your face, if you try to mirror that exact thing back to them, it might backfire on you. It might get the 5 sensory really upset. I know that's not fair, but sometimes revenge doesn't work out well in these situations where you're in close relationships with people. And then the final example of how to deal with a 5 sensory that's teasing you. Let's say that they're making fun of your spirituality or they're calling you really weird. You just say, I know I'm weird, and I'm having a lot of fun in my weird world. Your world seems a little bit boring. You can tease them right back about their own worldview, and that is another way to let them know that you're onto them and you're not threatened by their criticism of your lifestyle or your belief system. And it's so important that we're able to come out of the closet as six sensories and be able to say what we think and not take it too seriously. We don't need to persuade anyone to come over to our side. We are not evangelists. We are not preachers. We are just people who believe in angels and guidance, and we have a really magical, beautiful life. And we're willing to share that with others, but we also know the light comes on from the inside. And so if somebody doesn't have that light turned on from the inside, even if we sparkle and shine really bright, they're just not going to see it, even if they're right next to us as our partner. So we don't need to be threatened by that. All we need to do is shine our light and be our true selves. And when we know how to banter and not take the comments of five sensories too seriously, then we're able to shine even that much more brightly. And we're actually learning to communicate in the five sensories language. Five sensories love teasing each other. That's what they do amongst their friends. As six sensories will compliment each other and will say, I know that you have this gift, that you're such a kind person, you're such a great listener. In contrast, five sensories typically make fun of each other. They say, you're looking a little fat today. It's like, this is what five sensories say. And it can seem so unfamiliar to us as six sensories. We would never say that to another six sensory. But if we understand where it's coming from, in terms of the viewpoint of the five sensory, we don't need to be intimidated or threatened by that. We know how to respond in kind. Don't recommend initiating that kind of behavior, but if somebody else initiates it with you, you know how to handle it.